Computer shut down, got everything set up again. Looks like I'm reconnected. I'm having pop-ups come up. So I'm jumping back into the severe weather risk. Meteorologist Amy Metz back on track here with the information for today's severe weather risk in the area of Texas. But let me see here. Is this good? It is going. Okay, so everything's back on track. Now, what we're looking at first here is a surface analysis map. So I kind of just gave an overview in a live that shut down where I showed the amount of moisture and the winds that are coming in. So looking at this surface wind wise, we can see we have two air masses coming together over Texas right now. And this is going to be much warmer air from the south and much cooler air from the north. Whenever you hear me talking about tornado outbreaks, it's always these huge temperature gradients that help drive that. So that's a big portion here, one ingredient done. So I believe we could be seeing water spouts down off the south. And again, just like Delta, when I was hollering that there would be quite a few tornadoes with that, it's again going to be these cells that come up off of the coast and they develop. So more so later into today, and even into tomorrow through New Orleans area, all the way through Louisiana, southern Mississippi, is where we could be seeing more pop-up cells. So you'll notice there's a ton of lightning developing south of Dallas right now, going off with what we could be seeing form into a much longer squall line. And these are associated with some upper level jets. And on top of that, down here at the lower levels, you'll notice that we have a low pressure developing in addition to that. So this is another ingredient for a reason to believe there could be tornadic activity, maybe even hail, extra convection, damaging wind gusts. And right now this is a wild little warm front. These are very high resolution, this analysis that we're looking at here. And the green spot here shows quite a bit of moisture, meaning that again, those cells that are going to be coming up off of the south, especially tonight and tomorrow, they'll be the ones to watch. It'll have the extra torrential downpours and those possible stronger tornadoes, water spouts as well. So with all this air rushing up to the north, as soon as the low pressure continues crossing Texas, this air will then, behind the low, begin coming from the north with cold. Now the squall line could develop anywhere just right ahead of this low pressure system, and we do see evidence of this already a bit. So I'll zoom out here, let you see the larger picture. What we saw a few days ago, you'll see this blue dot going off. I had hail caught here the other day in my hand in Southern California. It was crazy. I put up a video of that. You can see that on my YouTube or my Facebook. Both my sisters caught that in different parts, let's say Orange, California and Santa Ana, California. There was some in Tustin and a ton of snow. There was a low pressure that developed here with subtropical jets. Since I'm talking about jets, I'll go to winds, upper level winds. High up in the sky are the jets. And we have polar jets, we have subtropical jets, we have tropical jets. When they come together, when they dig down, when they tilt, that's when we get extra weather. We have all three of those right now. So the subtropical jet intersected with the polar jet right over California. We saw massive explosive weather real quick, things we don't normally see here this time of year. Nothing too crazy, but it was for this time of year. And according to our solar cycles and La Nina, El Nino, all those that I've been tracking since I was a little kid, I'm going to go ahead, say this is right on track for normal. I was expecting this kind of thing this time of year. More specifically, severe weather outbreaks, this is where I'm looking. I'll say the jets are opening up. That's what I call this, to keep it a little simple. It's convergence or divergence. When it's converging, confluence, diffluence, these are all different terms we use in meteorology. And when they're diverging, these winds are not quite parallel, but they're going away from one another here. That's going to open up the top of the sky. This is near the tops of the cloud tops when you see really strong storms and you see an anvil cloud that's starting to billow out at the top of the troposphere. This is that level, all of it. And these colors are just indicating the different wind speeds and directions. So here the white is the strongest. And now that they're pulling apart here, that means air from the ground wants to move up and fill it in. That's why you see all the explosion of storms. Now, on top of that, to make an explosive storm, you're going to need the moisture there. So I'm going to open up the water vapor because it doesn't necessarily need to be seen now on the satellite. But if I go down here to water vapor, better find my glasses too here because this is some small writing. But I'll get those in just a sec. Mid-level water vapor and low-level water vapor, upper-level water vapor. They're all very important keys here to distinguishing when and where the severe weather will hit, along with that, those winds that are going apart from one another. So they were leaving each other, right? See this area, and the green now is filling in with moisture. So this is that same region over Texas that you see the green, where we can line up and look at the winds leaving one another, not going parallel anymore, not converging into each other and pushing the air down, but instead moving away from each other, letting the air in. That means the clouds they form as long as there is moisture. We know there's moisture here because it's not yellow over this region. So I'm going to open up the big portion now on the mid-level, large loop here with you, and show you what this means for the future, for today and tomorrow. We do see dry air in the yellow over the Gulf, so that's a good indicator that it's not going to get additional intensification on top of what I've already said, but there was already a ton of reason for weather to develop. So we will continue seeing these storms pop up, grow, and intensify, and I'm going to go ahead and say there will be a strong squall line forming across the state, Dallas, all the way down toward Galveston today as this all propagates eastward. I believe there could be waterspouts seen here more so this evening as the sun is setting there overnight and into tomorrow when we get to this region where my cursor is. More of this dry air is going to keep pushing east as you see the yellow. Keeps going and moving along east with the trough that is also moving east, which would be that digging tilted trough we saw on the jet pattern. And there's some Mexican plateaus here, some different topography for everything to get over, which is one reason why you're seeing the dry air turn into moist. So yellow go to white means that it's going from dry to having clouds there because the air just is being forced to push in that direction. And when it gets forced over the mountains, it has to go up. Up is colder. Colder means it saturates and becomes a little condensed water droplet. So voila, the rain appears. This is why it is going to get crazier and crazier throughout the day. So storm chasers are on the way from Arizona. I almost met them at the border last night, but I'm also on mom duty, traveling, 1,000 other things, and I'm thinking about hopping a flight from here to there today and meeting them. Either way, I'll be tracking them and what they're doing. So I'm going to take one moment here and look at my text messages, see if anybody is asking questions even. Because right now, Courtney Hibner and Kyle Cutton, you can find him on YouTube as Tornado Tackler. You can find her on YouTube as Storm Unicorn. They will be there in the storm today. So I'm looking forward to this. And we've been talking, but they are right now in places that don't have great service. So my text messages ran dry. I let them know that I'm going live and they're at a McDonald's, he says. So you guys go ahead and drop questions if you have them. Otherwise, I'm going to really fine-tune the most severe weather threats here now. We kind of saw a big overview and see why there's reasons for so much development today. With that, the HER model is always a good one to use. The rapid refresh was just kind of revamped and redone, but I don't normally use pivotal weather. So I had asked it to go to the HER, but it doesn't look like it. I have AGL temps here. Some people have been wanting me to use this website more, but I'm not familiar with it as much. So one moment and I'll see what I can do here. I do have the HER on. There's a high res here. I'm always preferring this model personally. Different people have their favorites. And then on the other hand, it would be the HER for the rapid refresh. But this is not the product I usually use, and I'm personally already not liking it, so I'm going to go back to what I normally use, which I do have the European model set up here for. And I want to play out the jet pattern here because I have been feeling that this was on track, because what I want to show you now is that there is still air moving away from each other in these points. Then it will be northern Louisiana. But the big thing here is that the pop-up storms near the surface, the air will still tomorrow, as the front, this cold front is moving across Louisiana, there'll still be plenty of air coming up from the south. This is going to pick up more moisture, and there will be smaller cells, maybe even turn into supercells, that kind of a storm. It's very rare that this region gets supercell storms because they're going to be kind of short-lived running into this cold front here. They won't have that time to really build their own engine with the inflow and the rear flank downdraft both. But it will be that sort of severity and strength with the possibility of a tornado. So if you happen to be in one of those that just bursts up so fast, this is what you want to watch. You'll want to be on your radar tomorrow if you have any plans to be driving. Whether you're a chaser or just commuting, I would be careful for the pop-up storms that come from the coast as they get larger and larger. Right now, they're not as severe, and the worst is going to be from Dallas down to Houston. So anywhere in this region is going to be very picturesque right now for chasers. All the way to Shreveport to Houston, I would say in the next 6 to 8 hours. And if I were a chaser, I would want to be staying right in this region, waiting for another squall to develop behind that. So right now the big show is right south of Dallas, between Dallas and Houston, and then into tonight. If people want to stay there in this area that are looking to chase the storm, it would be the place to see it still, as another squall can develop behind that with all the additional moisture that was building right here by Chihuahua, Mexico. So on top of that, what we have to look forward to tomorrow is another chance for daylight storms where there could be waterspouts. And that's what I am really considering flying out there for, just so I can see. I'll go back to College of DuPage now and get into some of the models, which is something I don't normally do, but with something this big, I'd like to be able to show some of these different scenarios. So here's where I typically am accessing the HER model, and it's just one of our highest resolution models for severe weather, and that's why a lot of people like this one. What we're looking at here is 1,000 to 500 millibar thicknesses, kind of just like a middle section of the atmosphere. And we see rain. We can see here they changed things a little bit, so I'm going to be careful that I don't mess any of this up here. So good, it is right now. I'm going to go ahead and loop this now. If it will play. Well, this one is not playing. So another way I can show this and where these other storms will be is this cursor too. Let's see if it wants to work for me. This is a little funky that I've never had an issue with this not working. So all I want to show though is that rain is going to be a big player here. There will be quite a few rainfall accumulations coming on all the way until this entire squall passes. It will build and build and build. Possible flash floods in here too. And it's funny that I don't normally use models, and now I just can't. So another one, windy, perhaps that'll work for me because it does also go into the future. It was working with the upper level winds for me. So this is what I'll play out instead. And I'm on the European, and I can go ahead and play each one, the NAM and the GFS that they offer here, just to give you an idea. So what I want to show here really is that this low is forming. You see circular motion there now. And that is that other player for the severe weather. And because that low is heading north at the same time that that squall will have a chance to develop, that's where I'm getting this idea that it will intensify quite strong to the point that we'll have quite a few storm reports coming out of this. You may be in Dallas thinking, oh, it's not that bad, and you might get through the night without any trouble. But just a couple miles down, it's going to be one of those cases where there could be severe weather, storm reports, just scattered, very fast moving and scattered, mostly a rain event and some lightning with this low pressure tracking toward the north, which I could see happening very easily with the setup we have with the jets. It's starting off now with the NAM. It's different. You can see different resolutions. And we'll just see what that decides it will track like. I do believe it will be toward the northeast, and mostly what I'm looking for here is all the severe weather threat in this region as the air is moving up off the Gulf of Mexico onto land. So even the NAM should be having this develop sometime on Wednesday. So we're looking later tonight and into tomorrow. And this thing is not putting it as strong. NAM is not my favorite. So it is even keeping it quite southerly for a while through Thursday. And then with the lower resolution, what that means is that you're getting a larger area for an average. So it looks a little choppy compared to others. It's not as exact, but again, still tracking toward the northeast into Friday. So that would continue what I'm saying with Wednesday and Thursday being these severe weather threats, especially in what we call Dixie Alley here. Places where you can grow the Dixie. And then GFS, all of those sugar growing states. So Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, a little bit of Tennessee and Georgia, they have over the years kind of warmed up more as climate's shifting and changing a bit. That's one of the things that we've noticed is a trend of more tornadoes and more heat here rather than here. So also our geomagnetic poles shift, and I believe many of these things just all kind of relate to one another, and that these are natural shifts. So it's very possible that this could be a New Year's Day Dixie Alley tornado scare for some. So this is now the GFS model, putting that center going right over Dallas, and they're all very close to one another with these predictions. So I do believe this is a surface low that will track toward the north and then continue to leave this front. You can still see a line here. So you could still be a squall line. Now we're looking at what would be an occluded situation, like when things are kind of dying off, but there's still that chance for severe weather up until about this point. So I'm going to say all the way through Friday with Dixie Alley, there's some little chances for pop-up storms, but the main event is going to be tonight and tomorrow. So one more quick look at where that lightning is right now. I'll let this loop on the radar. I suppose the whole thing here. Let you see the entire storm here. And I'll take a look and see if anybody wanted to know anything else before I go ahead and say goodbye and decide if I'm going to get a flight, because I sure do want to see a water spout. Well, nothing here yet. I just started putting out forecasts more often on my YouTube channel, so I do want to remind you, please hit subscribe, and go ahead. You can find me on Facebook as well, Weather Woman or Amy Metz. I'm happy to answer questions just about any time. I try to check my messages and get back to people as fast as I can. Also a busy mom, but I'm really obsessed with weather, so I'm always coming back here, checking forecasts. And right now, this whole year, I decided just to do this on my own. And for next year, I'm probably going to be joining a storm chasing team, continue working on my own while I'm living in Hawaii, and then we'll see what happens when I move back to the mainland. There's so many options. I just feel like not quite going back to the 9 to 5 job right away while my kids are young. So as much as I can, I'd like to try and make this a business I can do at home for fun with you guys and be able to do briefings. So with my friends I have on Facebook, a lot of them are meteorologists. They do work at National Weather Service offices, and I'll have them kind of jump in on my feed sometimes on Facebook. So maybe in the long term, I'd like to develop more of that here on YouTube, where I can actually have you guys more of a discussion rather than me talking to you and just giving you the forecast. I could give a real quick overview, and then we can dig into things together and share stuff together. There's a lot going on here, a lot of variables. So I love having more eyes on the ground and being able to confirm what the computers are saying and being able to alert people. So the more and more people I'm meeting online that are hosting groups and sharing this really important information, it's making me a little more excited to continue doing this from home, because there's such a grassroots effort here in getting this info out there. Some people don't have TVs. I don't hardly ever watch mine, so the Weather Channel that a lot of people I know love using isn't something that a lot of people rely on. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep doing this here on YouTube for you guys, at least for the meantime, for free, and I'm just happy to answer questions and maybe get in the middle of this storm too. So I hope everybody stays safe, and yeah, just if you are not wanting to be in the bad weather, just keep an eye. If you're in this area that I'm circling now, keep an eye on the radar as these storms tonight and tomorrow start funneling up here and building into what looks like this. Some of the more higher decibel ranges, when you're seeing the brighter colors, when you're seeing lightning, which you can find, by the way, on WeatherBug app, Weather Channel app, Windy app. A lot of them will supply this, because if you know there's lightning and thunder in there, or that they're these brighter colors, that's how you know they're going to be stronger. Probably heavier winds, heavier downpours, and perhaps the tornadoes. You'll look for little hooks like this. Not so much right now with this squall, but you'll look for little areas that are kind of folding in on each other. And that is the kind of thing that I want to be tracking tomorrow. And also tonight while Courtney and Kyle are there. So don't forget to subscribe here to Weather Woman. Also check out Storm Unicorn and Tornado Tackler. And we'll keep you posted on what's going on here through the coming days. Enjoy the weather, and thank you for watching.